What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com bringing home the bacon NBA DFS video for Tuesday, April 9th. We are back. Had a little break reset on Monday. No games. I assume for the eclipse. I really don't know. If you guys know why, let me know. I have no idea. But we are back. We're going to do things a little bit differently. You might be used to it. You might not. We're going to check it out. So, in this video, if you're new to the channel, you have a chance to win Fantasy Team Advisors FTA Plus. Now, Fantasy Team Advisors is the link that's the website. It's the link in the description, but this is today's article. So, with the article for Tuesday, it's in the description. So, what we're going to do is we're going to give you in the article 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value picks at each position. The value, some of these picks will change a little bit throughout the day once news comes out, injury management comes out, probable players are in, maybe out, questionable players go either way. So, in the description will be this article. Please check it out and let us know what you think. So it's part of our projections. And with that, we give you basically the floor projections as long as they're healthy and they're good to go. Things will change throughout the day. So that is why I tell you in the description of this video is also the Discord link. In the Discord, every single day for MLB, NBA, whatever it is, we give you value plays and we give you core plays, usually about an hour to 2 hours before tip-off for basketball. Same thing, hour, 2 hours before first pitch for baseball. So those are all in there. We have discussions. People come in. They show their winning lineups. They ask advice. We do sports bets. We do it all over there. So go check out the Discord channel. But if you've never been here before, hopefully you're in for a treat. We have 2 giveaways every single day in every single video. So days we have NBA videos and MLB videos, you have a chance to win technically 4 times. Very easy to win. Like the video, be a subscriber, and just leave a comment. If you leave a comment, you have a chance to be picked for the comment picker. Now, you do all that, and this video gets at least 50 likes, you have a chance to win a free week of DFS content. That includes a week of NBA, a week of MLB, PGA, NASCAR, whatever it is. We've got it there. If the video gets 100 likes, you have a chance to win a free month of DFS content. Same thing, month with everything we offer. Plus, that includes sports betting as well. 150 likes is a free $200 year. You can check that out. And if our videos ever get 200 or more likes, you have a chance to win a lifetime pass worth $500. Now, that being said, you could technically have a chance to win 2 free years every single day if the videos get there and you leave a comment. So the other way to win, you can win a free week, is like the video, be a subscriber, and tell me who is going to score the most amount of DraftKings fantasy points on this slate and how many fantasy points will they score. Closest without going over will win a free week of DFS content. If you get the exact DraftKings fantasy points for the highest scoring player on the slate, you'll get a free month on top of that. So super easy and super simple way to win. If you haven't, go check out the MLB video. Go check out the other content we have on the site. We're very excited. It's Masters Week. We love Masters, so we love the Masters. We are looking at bringing you content there. Might even do a video, just see how much time I have. But that being said, we're very excited, and we're going to do a little bit different. So in what you can see here, that's the article for today. But in this video, we're going to give you the top 10 plays at each position, along with their DVP. Now, DVP is defense first position. I've heard back and forth. It is getting to the point where in the NBA season, teams that are in already, they're kind of resting their stars, time management, injury management, stuff like that, getting ready for the playoffs. Teams that are on the bubble are still playing everybody, and teams that are already out are playing scrubs or unknown guys an extra amount of minutes. So it gets a little wonky with some of the projections this part, basically until playoffs start. So that being said, we're going to give you what we've got. If you have questions, get them down below, or you can hit us up on the Discord where we try to have conversations between you, myself, and everybody else that's in the community. All right, so let's get going. We will look at it. We can kind of just glance over all of the plays. SGA's questionable. Missed the last 2 days. We'll kind of wait to see if he's back. And that's kind of what we're waiting on. Some of the news is probably wait till we get closer to the actual lock of the slate, which kind of sucks in that sense. But you've got some questionable guys. Embiid played 23 minutes, then didn't play Sunday for injury management. Should be good to go here. 30 minutes? I don't know. It really depends. And that's the problem with some of these guys that are high priced. You don't really want to pay up that high. You've got Young here. Yeah, he's not coming. There's no way he's coming back. You just got a bunch of questionable guys. We were not really going to cover it just because it's going to take a while. The news will come out, and then that'll help us. So on the site, you can check out all the content we have under NBA Vegas odds, bets, simulation models, fantasy points allowed by position, which that is what we're going to do at the end of this video. So kind of in context, we're going to go over the top 10 at each position. Then at the end of the video, we're going to build a lineup on DraftKings, a tournament lineup using the NBA points allowed by position tool. We also have DFS chalk. So if you guys are looking at playing cash games, you want to go with the chalk. If you're looking at playing tournament games, you want to kind of go with less chalky players that also have a lot of upside, which we have in the chalk. We've also got our player projections and then our cheat sheet, which we have usually about 5 or 6 players at each position for cash, 5 or 6 players at each position for tournaments. Then we've got leverage plays, and we have optimal lineups as a starting point, not an end-all be-all. So that being said, let's check out the players in each position, the top 10, along with their DVP, which is a great factor as long as everything comes. So looking at this, number 1 for point guard, Luka Doncic. I think Luka obviously makes sense. He's should be good to go. He's got a fantastic matchup here against Charlotte. Hopefully they don't blow him out so much where they rest him, but we've got him projected. He's got the 23rd DVP right now, and we've got him projected right around 66 fantasy points. Now, we know he can go for 80, 90, 100. We're not going to project that out. Basically, the projections are mid-floor to, a little higher end, depending on when the Vegas numbers come out. So the Vegas numbers aren't all the way out yet. So when all of the Vegas numbers do come out here, that is when we'll run the simulations again, and we'll see if anything is updated fantasy points wise. So number 2 is Jalen Brunson going up against Chicago, the 19th DVP. We've got him projected right around 50 fantasy points. Tyrese Maxey, would love him a little bit more if Embiid is out, but I think he's going to be in. But Maxey has a fantastic matchup here going up against Detroit, 30th DVP. So dead last in DVP. Love me some Maxey. Number 3, projected right around 47 fantasy points. Number 4 is De'Aaron Fox, 17th DVP against OKC, 45 fantasy points as his projection. Number 5 is Damian Lillard, not the best DVP at 5th DVP, but we've got him at 42 fantasy points there. So I think we're going to do the top 5. We're going to do top 5 because I don't want this video to be extremely long for you guys. If you want to see the rest of our projections, all of them are on the site. Go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. So we go to shooting guard. Number 1, Anthony Edwards, 28th DVP against Washington. Another fantastic matchup here. With 11 games, we're going to have 22 teams going. We're going to have some great matchups here. The problem is the blowout potential in some of these games might scare us away a little bit. We've got Ant Ed here at 28th DVP. We've got him right around 45 fantasy points. Wouldn't be surprised to see him 50 plus. Number 2 is Kyrie Irving, 23rd DVP right now, 42 fantasy points. Number 3 is Jordan Poole in the matchup here against Anthony Edwards. We look at this. It is the worst DVP for him at number 1, but we do have him projected right around 40. It will really depend on how the game goes. So let's say, for instance, Minnesota is blowing them out and all of their starters sit. That is where the DVP kind of goes out the window because you got the second string or third string coming in, and that is where Jordan Poole could thrive unless he thrives right off the bat and he scores the highest. So we do have him at number 3. Number 4 at shooting guard, we got Jaylen Brown against Milwaukee, 27th DVP. We look at that. I love that. We've got him right around 39 to 40 fantasy point wise. And then number 5 is Josh Giddey. Would love Giddey more if SGA was out, but we'll use him. 15th DVP, so right in the middle, going up against Sacramento. And we've got right around 38 fantasy points out of Josh Giddey. We move to the small forward position. We've got Pascal Siakam here, 14th DVP. So a little bit worse than half. Right around 41 fantasy points, though. So I've got him number 1 here. Number 2 is Miles Bridges, especially if they are playing from behind against Dallas. We've got the 27th DVP per Miles, so it's been a fantastic matchup for him. And we've got him right around 40 fantasy points as well, which I don't mind at 7,800. Now, before we get into everything else, people have been asking what is like, and this is all year, but what are you looking for value-wise? And these are part of the simulations. But what we have is you're usually the minimum you're looking for cash is 7 times value. Okay, so someone who's 7,000 value or 7,000 salary, multiply that by 7, 8, 8.5, 9 is tournament. So basically, take whatever the salary is, multiply it by 7, and that should be your target when you're going through. So you can take that target, you can look at those, then you can compare them to what we have on the site, and you can see if they match up. If they match up, they're probably in a good spot unless something, injury happens or something like that. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. The minimum you want is 7 times value. You are going to get 5 times value out of some, but if you find those $3,900 or $3,000 salary players, $3,900 who go off for 10 times value occasionally, it'll offset that needing, 8, 9 times value, 7.5, depending on what you're at. So we've got, so Miles Bridges was there at number 2. Jaylen Brown was there. Or we've got DeMar DeRozan here. DeMar DeRozan against the Knicks, not the best matchup for DeMar, but we've got him there, 3rd DVP. We've got him right around, now this is just around about 39 to 40 fantasy points. I really do like him here. Next one is Jimmy Butler against Atlanta, 12th DVP, so not the best for him, but we got him right around 38 fantasy points there. And then we've got Brandon Miller on the flip side of this Dallas game, 22nd DVP here. We're looking right around 35 fantasy points out of him. Power forward, we got Giannis. Not the best matchup, but Giannis is one of those dudes that is basically matchup proof when he's healthy, 100% healthy. Let's see, he's got a questionable tag. No, he's good to go right now. So again, between now and whenever the slate, the news comes out with like shoot around in the morning and stuff, we could see some of these players having that questionable tag, which we've seen multiple times. So just use that information when you are building that lineup out there. But I got Giannis here looking right around 55 fantasy points, but we know what we're going to get out of him. Like, for the most part, going up against Boston, a great matchup there. He's already played him twice this year, averaged 50.1, which isn't a lot, especially at his price. But we know that he goes for 60, 70, 80. Like, we know he can go off for that. Not the best matchup for him, but if we are paying up, I think I'm kind of paying up for Luka today more than I would Giannis. But Giannis is number 1 power forward. Number 2 is Paolo Banchero, 21st DVP against Houston. I like that. We're looking right around 42 to 45 fantasy points out of him. Number 3 is Kristaps Porzingis against Milwaukee, 13th DVP here, so right in about the middle, but we are still looking at 40 fantasy points out of Porzingis. Number 4 is Naz Reid here, has a fantastic matchup here against Washington, 30th DVP, so dead last DVP for Naz. We're looking about 36 to 40 fantasy point range. And then number 5 is Josh Hart against Chicago, 10th DVP. We're looking right around 35 fantasy points for Hart. Then with the center position, we got Victor Wembanyama, basically the 8-foot demon. He should be good to go, everything. 12th DVP, so not the best, but the dude's 18 foot tall. We've got him right around 60 fantasy points. So one of the top projected scorers. I think he might be our second highest projected player on this entire slate. That's number 1. Number 2 at center, Sabonis. We've got him against OKC, which is 15 DVP, so right in the middle. We've got him at 53 to 56 fantasy points. Number 3 is Bam Adebayo against Atlanta, 22nd DVP, so a great matchup for him at 43 fantasy points. Number 4 is Rudy Gobert. If Rudy Gobert is in, I probably take Naz Reid down a little bit. But we got Gobert at 30th DVP, so dead last. We're looking at 41 to 45 fantasy points here. Number 4 is Nikola Vucevic here against the Knicks. 7th DVP, so not the best, but we've got him at 36 fantasy points at his price. And then number 5, Kelly Olynyk here against Indy. 15 DVP, so middle of the pack right there. We've got Olynyk right around 35 fantasy points. So that being said, I've also had questions. Do not follow the OPRK here because it's not always correct, okay? Because, for instance, it's got Wembanyama here at 23rd, which looks great. At green means go. But in actuality, the DVP is 12th. So I don't really know. Again, I've tried to ask the DraftKings. I don't know where they get the offensive player rank here for, or the opposing rank. I don't know. If anyone knows, let me know, because it does not match up with DVP. And I think there's a lot of people out there that think this means DVP, so green means good and green means go. Not always the case. So, that being said, we are going to use the NBA points allowed by position tool. Now, this is updated for this slate. How to read this. Defense is on the left. These are the amount of fantasy points they give up on average to the opposing position. So, if we go through here and look at point guard, the Spurs give up the most amount to the point guard. They give up an average of 54. Same thing with Utah. Utah gives up an average of 54 as well. So we go through here. We see San Antonio's Memphis, and we see Utah is playing. So Denver and Memphis would be the top two teams you would look at point guard. You could go Wizards 3. So then in actuality, if you're trying to decide between the three, you go Minnesota here. So it's between Denver, Minnesota, and Memphis as to who has the best matchup with all of the games that are going on. So you can see the differences. 54 is Phoenix playing. So Phoenix isn't playing. So then it's Washington at 53. So they are very close. The Pistons at 52.7. The Bucks at 52.6. Everyone is really close right now. So honestly, I don't mind. We could even put Detroit and Milwaukee in there if you just want to. So Philly and then Boston. So how do you want to go about this? Do you want to go with Tyrese Maxey? Do you want to go with Jamal Murray? Do you want to go Derek White, Drew Holiday? It really depends on what you want for point guard. Maxey, when we've had, I mean, he's coming off a fantastic game there, played 54 minutes against San Antonio. It was a high-scoring affair. Could be the same thing here. Embiid being only playing 23 minutes, that I don't know how much that affected, because then you see against Memphis played 25 minutes, 16, but then had 72 here. So looking at Maxey, I think I kind of like him here. So that's kind of where I'll go there. We look at shooting guard. Now, again, this is one way to build a lineup, not the only way to build a lineup, but this is one way to build a tournament lineup. So you got Utah, Washington, and Atlanta all relatively close here. So Utah playing Denver, Washington playing Minnesota, and what was the third one? Atlanta. We see Atlanta. They are playing Miami. So that brings us to Anthony Edwards, which I absolutely loved. He's my top shooting guard. Tyler Hero, is he back? Yeah, so he's played 2 games now, 25 to 30 minutes there. Looking at his price, they've dropped him down. His matchup here looks good, 23rd. But then if you look at his DVP, according to everything, it's 12th DVP, where Anthony Edwards is at 28. So Anthony Edwards has a great matchup here. I'm taking Ant Edwards here at 9,500. And then we move on to the small forward position. So looking at small forward, we can see that Utah, Washington, Toronto are the top 3. Utah, Washington, and Toronto. So it's the same 3 teams. That is why I think blowouts could be a factor. Utah, Washington, Toronto. Are they playing? Toronto. So Indy. So small forward, Pascal, Michael Porter Jr., Kyle Anderson. Anderson would be the cheapest at 5,200, which was right about where we could average. Porter against Utah, you see the differences there. Aaron Nesmith here, you could see him at 5,100. So Nesmith, we've got him at small forward. We've got Pascal here at 14 DVP, and he's 8,000. We've got Michael Porter Jr. Let's see where Michael Porter Jr. is. Mid DVP, so, you know, it's okay. And then Nesmith would be a cheap option at 5,100. We look at his game log coming off some good games here. Splits-wise, he's faced Toronto once, had only 17 fantasy points per game, only got 16 minutes. But as you see in his game logs, the minutes have been better. So I think Nesmith here in a game where it's a higher-paced game, because Indy plays just a higher-paced overall, I would look at Nesmith there. And it's a little bit cheaper option to now right around 5,300 is where we can average, which is not good, but we already have 2 higher-priced guys. So I think Luka is obviously a high-priced guy, and you would look at him. But there's just other options too. So we'll go to power forward. We'll sort that through. We see Toronto, Utah, Washington, Atlanta. Toronto's Indy, Utah. Utah and Washington love to be bad. So you look at this, Pascal. Towns being out, obviously. He is nearing a return, but yeah, so he's got 4 games to suit up. I don't know if he'll be in this one because the playoffs start soon, which is good for us because less games to go over, better matchups. We know that everyone's going to be playing their good people throughout until June, which is crazy how long the playoffs last for. The playoffs last so long for NBA. So yeah, we look at that. Naz Reid, I don't know with Gobert being there. I mean, I know he's been doing good. The minutes have been there. It scares me a little bit. We see him. We see Porter. Game log, not bad, but his price, I don't think I like that matchup there. You do have Kyle Anderson for a cheaper option. So Kyle Anderson, 22-10. The minutes are there, right around 18, but I just don't think he's getting what we need. Pascal at 8,000 is going to be kind of tough to build a lineup through. You can look at Obi Toppin as a cheaper option. He's been doing pretty damn good. He's only 4,300. The minutes have been there in games that are close games. He's been on fire. I think I'm going to go Obi Toppin. 4,300 allows us to pay up at other positions, which is what we need. We need to find some value on this slate. I think Obi Toppin is a great value option here. Then we get to the center position. Somehow, some way, the Spurs are the worst team against the center when they have an 18-foot guy in Wemby here. I just don't get it. You got San Antonio being the worst, Washington being second, Portland being third. However, I don't understand. So we're looking at Memphis center, we're looking at Washington center, or we're looking at Minnesota center. We'll go with those two. So we're looking at Jaren Jackson Jr., who is questionable. Was ruled out Saturday, so that if he's ruled out again, he has not played in about a week. I get that. If he is out, Trey Jameson, Lamar Stevens, and Brandon Clark are all there. Brandon Clark has let us down more than not. Did come through on the third, got 31.25, but let us down against Philly, which was a good matchup for him. But he only played 23 minutes. The minutes are what scares me a little bit. You got Trey Jameson here. Game log, the minutes have been there for him. Mixed results, but against Detroit, we dominated. We cashed everywhere that night for NBA. You can go ask in the Discord link. So, Jameson at 4,400 would be cheap. Rudy Gobert's the one that's interesting. The minutes are there. It's kind of weird. He's going up against Washington, faced him one time, had 50 fantasy points there. At that price, I love it. I would love it even more if Naz Reid was out. At 7,300 is a lot. You could go trade Jameson at 4,400. This is obviously contingent on Jaren Jackson. So if Jackson is out, then Jameson is in a good spot. And we'll do it that way. And then we've got 6,000 to mess around with for guard, forward, and utility. So we just let's look at guard. Looking for value is where it's going to get a little tricky. Where can we find value here? We can look at Cameron Payne, according to some of our projections. The minutes have been there for Cameron Payne. He's had some good games right here. Then he's had some stinkers. Cameron Payne has not really been good with Embiid being back. Played Detroit 2 times this year. But again, if Philly goes up big on Detroit, Cameron Payne, I think they pull everyone else. Cameron Payne could be a value option. So I'm going to throw him in there because that allows just a little bit. We're able to build off of that. Again, this is not a finalized lineup. If news comes out, some of these players might not be starting, so on and so forth. That is where we will obviously have to pivot and update. So we look at value here for the forward position. Depending on what we look for, we can average about 7,000, which is great. So if we average right around 7,000, Naz Reid could be in a spot that we've already talked about. His price a little high for me. We've talked about Josh Hart. I love me some Dante here. Brandon Miller a little bit in this game where he could be playing from behind. Seeing he's playing Dallas, played him once, he averaged 36 minutes in that game, but only got 12 fantasy points, which sucks. I don't want that. Kelly Oubre Jr., game log wise, coming off some good games, 6,600 splits wise. We're at home, away. We've got 3 games against Detroit right now. He's averaged 22 fantasy points, which isn't enough. So where do we go? Gregory Jackson's another one that's a value that you could look at. He's had some good success We've had to call on him lately with Memphis because it's been wild. But 7,000 average. You don't have to use the whole thing, but we can. Kind of feel Michael Porter Jr. in this matchup against Utah. I don't mind that. And now a utility spot for an average that if you're looking for value. Another one we haven't talked about is, and it depends, game log wise, if he plays, he's getting some minutes lately, 20 minutes, 30 plus fantasy points, 4,500. He could be a sneaky cheap option here, a big option in a game where they're playing from behind. So let's just, for instance, put him at utility. And now our forward, we can go 9,000. We can go Paolo. We can go DeMar DeRozan. We can go Jimmy Butler. We can go anywhere with this. I love me some Paolo here. The minutes are there. We know the minutes are there. His matchup, let's see what his matchup is. Just kind of looking at his matchup DVP-wise, just in case. 21st DVP, second. We've got him second projected power forward. I'm going with Paolo here. So that is a lineup. We've left 1,200 on the table. You can build around it. You can change it up if you don't like Cameron Payne. Say you don't like Cameron Payne. You want to go some other guard for 5,100. Maybe ones that we've already talked about. Reggie Jackson against Utah could be a good matchup. The minutes for Reggie Jackson have been there, 20-plus minutes. Fantasy points have been there a little bit. They have gone very erratic here. We look at his splits versus Utah. 3 games, average 16 minutes, 9.8 fantasy points. Has not had the best matchup against them. Duncan Robinson against Atlanta. Splits-wise, 3 times this year, average 50 or 25.7 fantasy points. The problem is his back might not hold up. But I will throw him in there just for now. You can change it up. Cameron Payne, Duncan Robinson, make it your own lineup. I'm going to lock this in now, but I probably will change this later on down the road. So that's what I've got in this video. Hopefully it is a great NBA video for you. Good luck to everyone who tries for our contest. Make sure to check out all of our MLB content all over. We've got NASCAR. We've got the Masters this week. We've got it all for you. So good luck on this slate. And as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.